responded. They've brought really good energy every day. The thing I love about this group is in the meeting room, like the classrooms, like obviously we got practice is really important, but then coming into the classroom and teaching, they're always having eye contact, they're always taking notes, and they do a really good job of what we teach in the classroom gets put back on the field the next day. That's one thing we talk about. Say, look, we're not expecting to be perfect. We're going to chase it, right? But just don't make the same mistake the next day. So they've done a good job of doing that.
You've been in a few places. What do you see as distinctive as how Brett and you as a staff run this camp?
It's hard. It's a grind, mentally, physically. But that's what camp is. Like every day, I'm amazed about how organized Coach B is, and there's nothing that goes on in this building that he doesn't have his hand in and knows what's going on. That would be I guess the structure of it. And the way we use our time is really good. He does a really good job with that, of leading us as coaches, and then obviously it goes down to the players. So it's been a tough camp, but I think it's been really, really good.
The obligatory is the Cari Franklin question. If you had to pinpoint like the biggest points of growth for him from day one of camp to now, like what's that look like?
Probably just getting himself back familiar with the offense. He'd been away from Coach Lynn for several years, so just some of the little nuances that we've started to do here. I would say that, and then number two is just watching how he is with the guys. He's a quiet kid by nature, but in our room you would never guess it, right? He does a really good job of helping the young guys and encouraging those guys, and to see him and Pat and then some of the older guys kind of how they gel together has been really cool. So he's done a really good job of diving into that room and not just being, okay, hey, I'm here for Cari Franklin, but I'm here for the team. He's done a really good job with that.
Colin Dixon's a guy that we've seen a little more and more. Mm-hmm. Just how has he grown since you've had him in the spring? What's he bringing?
Yeah, just I'd say consistency. That's the number one thing we talk about is being consistent. Colin Dixon, all those guys do a good job. If you can fix something in the meeting room with Colin Dixon, and the very next day it shows up on tape. He's very intentional about what he does. He works really hard. He's incredibly smart, so that gives him a chance too. And he plays fast. I think the more you can just get out there, cut it loose, and play fast, the better off you're going to be. And Colin does a good job of that.
Cari talked about the speed, but he has to be careful not to overrun his window with the quarterback. How do you do that? Do you have to pull back?
It's a feel. That's what we tell him. Hey, look, you got to get over there and you got to have a little bit of a feel for where you're at in relation to timing. We talk about our room timing and spacing relative to the quarterback and when he's supposed to throw it. And he did. He gets over there so fast so many times, he kind of runs himself out of those windows. So it's just getting him to tempo it, right, and just have a feel for where he's at in the progression, where he's at in the read and all that. And he's done a good job of that.
You mentioned the grind of training camp. How do you get through it? I mean, daily, what do you do do you prepare for it? Do you work out ahead of time? I mean, tell me how you get through the day to day.
Yeah, I think it all starts in the summer with how the guys train with.
Not but you guys.
With me, with the coaches. Man, this is my 18th one, so as hard as this one is, I was a GA for 3 years, and the GAs and the analysts and some of those guys work a lot harder, work longer hours than we do. But I think you get here and you want your players to bring their best every day. So as a coach, you wake up every day, and if I don't bring my best, I'm cheating those kids. I'm cheating this program. Right? I'm cheating Coach B. So I was hired to do my job, and you just wake up with a mindset. You just go attack it.
Yesterday, players had the day off.
Yes,
you guys did not. Yep. I assume you worked a pretty long day. I take it.
Yeah, Coach was good. We were able to get out of here before dinner to go see our families and see our kids, and our wives are saints, and Coach does a good job of making sure they know how important they are to what we do here, watching the kids, and so we were able to go home. It was the first time I was home before dark for a long time, and get to see the kids and put them to sleep. So Coach has been good about letting us have a little bit of that time when we can have it.
Does that lighten up once the season starts, or get worse?
No, seasons are grind too.
Okay.
There's usually late nights. Towards the end of the week, you get some time at home. In the evenings, get home earlier in the evenings than you do early in the week. But it's a pretty good grind from beginning of August till after the bowl game. And then you just get right into recruiting.
Do you have family or friends that say you're nuts for doing that kind of job? And have you heard that a lot over the years?
my neighbor in South Carolina was a big South Carolina fan, and he had no clue. Like about 2 months into it, he goes, "My gosh, I had no idea you guys work like this."
Okay.
And then it's not just the football season. Then you go straight into recruiting, and you're gone for 4 or 5 nights a week. But that's, the coaches that retire, the one thing they tell you is that they miss their grind and they miss being around the kids and doing that stuff more than they do anything else.
What am I saying? What's the most important thing to help you get through all of this? You know what's coming before the year. What's kind of the key thing for you? 1 or 2 things. Is it working out? Is it doing it? Well, tell me what you think is important to keep going.
I think just making time for yourself to go get some fresh air, work out, take a walk, whatever it is. But for me, it's obviously, my wise to get up and work because of my wife and my 2 kids. But my players, that's why as soon as I get with them, as tired as I am in the morning sometimes, but as soon as I stand in front of those guys, man, I don't know where it comes from. I just find it somehow. So, and those guys give me energy, man, and I want to make sure I'm doing my best to those guys.
But this is you anyway, right?
Yes,
if you were an accountant, you'd probably be like this.
I'm high strong, man. I'm high strong, high energy. I can't sit still, unless I'm at the beach. I can sit still if I'm at the beach. But when I'm working, I'm working.
You got 10 days until the opener. Like, what more do you feel like your group can maybe still accomplish before you do it for real?
Yeah, I just think Coach Lundy's been talking about it. It's just we're going to tighten up the details, right? We're going to start to get into where we've thrown a lot at these guys this fall camp. We're about to get into where we do more game plan. It's more game plan specific, and so it's not so much volume as far as the playbook. It's more specific to who we're playing, and that'll help these guys too. But just tightening up the details is one thing we got to do.
How schematically was it different for you to come over here? We talk to the players all the time about just schematic differences. Just was it different for you to kind of figure out how things are going to work here?
No, schematically, no. Everybody's, I say everybody does the same stuff. There's just different ways to do it.
Okay.
Different ways to call it. That's the biggest thing is the terminology. It's like learning a new language when you go to a new place. I've since 2019, I've been in 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th offense.
Right.
So, in a weird way, I'm kind of used to it.
Right.
But it's been good. And Coach Lundy does a good job of making it all make sense. And so, it necessarily hasn't been. It's not easy by any stretch of imagination, but at least there's a rhyme and a reason to how we do things. So that's the biggest thing is just learning the terminology.